So are you guys wanting to jump in and experience the latest first-person open-world tactical shooter? Grayzone Warfare is just that. It was just released yesterday, and in today's video, I'm going to be giving you guys a beginner's tour of everything that you need to know to make sure that you survive the living, breathing world of Lemang. Hey everyone, my name is Juan Solo with A Squad Gaming, and if this is your first time here on the channel, welcome. It is great to have you. Consider hitting that subscribe button to stay up to date on all things surrounding Grayzone Warfare here on the channel, and for those of you that have been here a time or two, welcome back. So in today's video, this is going to be your crash course into Grayzone Warfare. For those of you guys that may not have played the game yet, or you're just getting your feet wet with the game itself, maybe you're fans of other games similar to this like Escape from Tarkov. This is a much different game, and I wanted to give you guys a quick rundown of a few things that I have already experienced in the game and I think would help you guys along the way. So with that being said, this is a very informal video. I'm just going to be going down through the list here, and I will have some gameplay examples for you guys to see up on the screen. The first thing that I want to bring up here is the medical system and how it works. So this is very different from Escape from Tarkov, because it's pretty straightforward on what happens in Escape from Tarkov. It's basically how much hit points you have per limb, and if your limb gets blacked out, you have to use a specific thing like a surgical kit or a serve kit to basically get health back into that arm. In Grayzone Warfare, this is very, very different. You can get organ damage, you can fracture your bones, as well as you can get bruising, you can get contusions, you can get bleeds, heavy bleeds, light bleeds, all those things. And there are different medical items that you're going to have to use depending on what your injuries are. So for instance, if you have a light bleed, you're going to want to use a bandage, but if you have multiple bleeds on your character, using a tourniquet will be much faster and it will take care of all the bleeds on your character rather than going through one by one with the bandages. Also, for instance, if you fall off of something at any height in the game, there is a very good chance that you're going to fracture your legs. If this happens, you will need to apply a splint, and this will need to be applied to both legs. With that being said, if you do not have a splint, you can use a painkiller. This will take away the pain effect that will be on your character, but you will not be able to move as quickly because you will have a fractured limb. Also, if you get any organs that are damaged, you will have to use a surgical kit to repair those organs. Also, there are blood bags that you can use on your character to get your blood back, but if you take care of all of your wounds, your blood, aka your hit points, will slowly start returning. But if at any point your blood dips below 50%, your character will black out and go into a coma state. And in this situation, you will have to be resuscitated by another player, somebody in your squad, another person of your faction. Even an enemy faction can technically revive you if they do want to. Obviously, that's something that's probably not going to happen very often unless you're doing roleplay or something like that. But these are all things you guys will need to take note of. Make sure you're using the right medical equipment for the right injuries on your character. Moving on to the magazine in your inventory. So this is directed kind of more towards Tarkov players, just because in Escape from Tarkov, you do need to have an empty slot in your chest rig or your magazine that you are reloading out of your weapon. You do not have to do that in Grayzone Warfare. You can literally fill your chest rig completely full with items, magazines, and other things, and it will take place of the magazine that is reloaded out of your chest rig. So with that being said, you will never have to worry about a mag dropping on the ground if you have too many items in your chest rig. Next up, this is pretty self-explanatory if you go into your keybinds, but there are no HUD elements that tell you how much ammo is in your weapon at any given time. So simply push V on your keyboard. This will do a magazine check. This will tell you how many rounds are left in the magazine. And with the different ammo types in the game, if you hold Shift and hit V, this will do a chamber check, and it will tell you the exact round that is in the chamber depending on what ammo type is loaded into your weapon. Next up, with the way this game works being a fully persistent world, the body of your character, if you were to die out in the field, your body stays there. But you can only have one body active on the ground at a time. So for instance, if you died, your body's on the ground, your buddies are watching your body, you spawn back at the base, you get on a helicopter, and then you try to get back to your body to get all of your loot. You need to make sure if you are playing with other players, you need to have them strip your body of all of your gear, because if you die on your way back in to try to retrieve your gear, that body will despawn, and the current body that you had is the main body that will take place in the persistent world. So for instance, if you have teammates around, you're going to want to tell them to drag all of your loot off of your body. That way, if you do die in the process of getting back to your body, you will still be able to get all of your gear. Moving right along, I want to explain how keys work in Grayzone Warfare. So this is different to the Escape from Tarkov key system because in the latter half of development of that game, they started to put amounts of uses on keys. So for instance, some of the rarer keys might be a single use or a half a dozen or so uses, and the key would break and then the key would be gone. So in Grayzone Warfare currently, the keys do not consume when you use them. They have unlimited amount of uses, and there are certain keys that you're going to need for quests. There are certain keys that you're going to need to get into locked rooms where there's a lot of really cool military loot. And with that being said, the really cool thing that Grayzone Warfare has in their game is if there is a locked room in a specific area, the guards that are around that area have the keys to that room in their loot pool. Does that mean it's going to drop every single time? No, but there is a good probability if you go around the area of these locked rooms and you take out NPC guards, one of them will have a key to that room. The keys are in their loot pool. It's not a guaranteed spawn, but it is a really cool mechanic. So if you go around and you clear out the area, there's a good chance that you are going to be getting some really good keys for those locked rooms. Next up, this is just a minor note here. So when you actually take down NPCs and you go to loot them, you will notice that there is no weapon on the actual NPC body. This is because when the NPC dies, they actually drop their weapon on the ground. So if you are looking for a specific weapon, make sure to look around on the ground if it isn't actually on the character themselves. I'm not sure if they fixed this with the actual early access release, but last week when we were playing this, the weapons actually were not in the inventory of the enemies. You had to physically loot them off the ground because the NPC dropped their weapons when they died. Next up, you do need to take note for those of you guys that have not played Escape from Tarkov. If you are new to this kind of a genre, there are many different ammo types in the game and they do different things. So some ammos are going to be really good at penetrating armor. Other ammo types are going to be extremely good against flesh. So at the beginning of the game, when you're in the starter towns, I do recommend using hollow point ammo, which is actually available at the vendor level 1. This will allow you to do a lot more flesh damage to the enemies, and most of the enemies in the first town are not wearing armor. But as you progress through the game, you will have the ability to unlock AP ammo, which is armor penetrating ammo. And when you go to some of the military bases, and if you go into any PvP, I strongly recommend using some armor piercing ammo because most of those NPCs and players are going to be kitted out with a lot of armor. So moving right along, you guys will realize that the main way to get around in Grayzone Warfare is the helicopter. While you're at your home base, you can open your TAC map and pick a number of LZs that you have discovered. This will allow a helicopter to come in to the home base. It'll pick you up, it'll fly you out to the LZ, you will land, and then you can go out and explore. But one minor note here, you can actually take a helicopter from LZ to LZ. So for instance, if you don't want to go back to home base, you want to go explore more, you have another LZ unlocked. If you call in a helicopter, you will be able to go from your current LZ to another LZ of your choosing. You don't always have to go back to home base. Next up, and this is a huge one that is extremely different from Escape from Tarkov, when you're actually going through the game and completing quests, if there is a specific item that you need to grab for a quest, that item goes into your inventory on your character. It does not go into a separate quest inventory similar to Escape from Tarkov. So if you are completely full on your inventory, you will have to drop some certain items depending on the size of the item that you need to pick up for your quest. But do keep that in mind when you are going out doing some of these quests. If it says anything about retrieving an item and bringing it back to base, that item will physically be in your character's inventory, so you do need to take that into account. So now last but not least, if you guys actually open your TAC map, you will see a number of blue dots scattered around the map. So these are the other members of your faction. It is highly recommended, and I'm going to tell you guys right now, do not shoot your faction members. It is very simple to just push M on your keyboard and this will pop up your TAC map that will allow you to still move around. You can still aim in, you can still do everything that you want to do in the game, but it will have an overlay of a tactical map. If there's any friendlies in the area, they will show up as a blue dot. Also, if you do invite members to a squad, all of your squad members will be a green dot. So for instance, you can use this to your advantage if you are around an LZ, you hear a helicopter fly over, or there's a helicopter coming into an LZ that you're nearby. If you actually open your TAC map and you notice that there are no blue dots, no green dots, that is a clear indication that that is an enemy faction coming into the area, and that is when you guys are going to need to be staying alert, because that is when your PvP is going to come into play. So with that being said, that is going to wrap it up for today's video. Let me know your thoughts on this down below. Was this guide helpful? Are you guys excited to check out Grayzone Warfare? I know they are going to be having a number of updates coming out very, very soon. I know one of their big first updates is going to be adding a full day-night cycle with dynamic weather. And also, for those of you guys out there that may be console players, they do plan on bringing this to console eventually. But like I said, that is all for the video. If you guys enjoyed it, you found it helpful, make sure to drop a like and also subscribe if you are new to stay up to date on all things surrounding Grayzone Warfare here on the channel moving forward. But that is all for now. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will catch you guys later. Peace out.